Truth is the simple, so obviously, absolutely, unequivocally, uncompromising that it admits no complexity, no turning, no qualifications, self-ignitious, crooked, and governed by the subtle and snarky desire amidst of endless turnings and qualifications, and diluted worship of self and vanity, imagine that they can gratify even worldly desires at the same time possess the truth. This is part of a writing I did, and welcome, this is Dr. Paul. What I want to talk to you about is how you are not talking about some things in and amongst the black community or amongst the rest of America. So, I will say this too, and I wrote this as part of a paper I was writing about how to find self-truth. I'm just going to read you a little bit apart. As I succeed in overcoming self, I will begin to see things in the right relations, that who is swayed by any person's prejudiced likes or dislikes, adjust everything to the peculiar biases, and sees only their own delusions. To practice and learn this action of life, one will be absolutely free from all passions, prejudice, and preferences, particularly sees himself as he sees others, as they are see in the things in their proper proportions and their right relations, having nothing to attack, nothing to defend, nothing conceal, no interest to guard, one will be at peace. Now, that is true if you understood how you're being looked at. That is true only if you understood how you're being looked at. It is only true if you understand how you're looking at something. There is no other truth than understanding yourself. In Black America, if I can directly speak to the few, the 12% of the population, the 12% of the population that only has 1.5% of owned wealth. And that has happened since 1860. Only 1.5%. Can I talk to the only few that has been non-immigrants of the United States of America? Black America was not made from immigration. It was made from enslavement. Can I talk to the only few as the Constitution was deemed non-human, not to own property? Even the Dred Scott decision says that black has no right to own property because it's 3/5 of a man. Can I talk to the only few that is deemed that from subjugation of what you've been through, you have been institutionalized in policies that are now allowing you outside the box? Can I talk to the only few that you have not understood that as you were fighting for civil rights, you were still being robbed out of your economic rights? Can I talk to the only few that when your dollar is spent in your own community, it only lasts 6 hours? Can I talk to the only few that has been looked at, ratified, marginalized in any way, shape, or form? Whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not. So how do you hang yourself on the wall? How do you see yourself? How do you understand how people see you? We see each other as men, women, children? Yes. Do we see each other as separate? We don't have to. We are. How do we find peace in that? How do we find glory in that? You don't have to find it. What we have to find is unification. Can we find that? Yes, we can find that if we understood that has been systematically separation. To not know that, there will always be injustice. To not know that, to not understand that, there will be injustice. You can read all the economic books you want, but if you don't understand how the systematic plighting, degrading, separation has been caused because of blacks and non-immigration, then you will understand where the troubles lie within the community. And as far as rest America, and it's sometimes it sickens me to even say the rest of America, like we're supposed to be opposite other than, like we're supposed to be looked at as something different. We're not supposed to be, we just are. So I don't want you to have to look at it. Just understand what you're looking at. Understand what you're looking at on the wall. Don't ignore it. Don't try to malign it. Don't try to undercut it. Don't try to say every time it is talked about, here it goes again. Don't try to say that just because we are all living on this planet together that we're all the same. Don't try to say that the law books also are equal and prosperous for all, because it's not. Then you haven't read your books. Then you don't understand. And that's what I'm talking about. Because it's more than just a picture on the wall. There's more than just words on the paper. There's more than what is being seen on the screens. There is more. And if you don't know, that's why I'm doing this podcast, so we can learn more. So you can say, hey, maybe I don't know enough. Maybe I can just learn a little bit more, whether I am or I am not. What I mean, whether I am a black person or I'm not a black person. Just learn more. Don't just say what you think it needs to be said, like that happened then that time ago, because then you're not understanding what the system has done and has been put into place. Don't mention, well, what about the president of Obama or Oprah's or the Tiger Woods in the world? That does no benefit. Those people could have came and gone, and it has no created benefit on what you call freedom and slaves. The benefits of the majority, the benefits of the 12% of the population, the benefit of only having the money only circulate outside of self-community. Understand how money circulates. Understand how you benefit from the circulation of $1. Understand how you benefit for not being not black. Whatever. It is not systematic progress if you don't understand it. I'm not talking about should it be right or wrong. Just understand it. Just understand it. Ask yourself how many times you have been to a property that's owned of blacks and non-blacks, and that would answer your question about the dollar in America. If you don't understand it, just ask. I'll send you some readings, send you some information. Go from there. Just ask. Because that's what we need to do, is ask those questions. We just need to ask those questions of ourselves. We need to ask ourselves as a community. We need to have a different way of teaching. Because the way we're teaching it now, it's not bringing us close together. How do we know? It's been 60 years. In 1968, we haven't gotten any better since the sign of civil rights. We haven't gotten better. I've said this before. We've only changed. It's only a different view. We haven't gotten better. Things may seem different, but we haven't gotten better. And if we haven't gotten better, then let's change this. Maybe we need to change the education process of how people are learning and how people are seeing it. Because it's the perception that's giving us the false view that what you see on the wall is the same. Be careful how you see it. Be careful how you view it. And understand who you are and how you see it. The only way we get better at being better is to do things better. It seems simple, but it's not. It's very hard. Because growth is painful. Change is hard. But that's the only way we're going to do this. As Bruce Lee used to say, you got to empty out your cup so you can allow to be filled. If your cup is already 3/4 full, there's not much you can learn. There's not much you can learn. We will get better only if we do better. The only way we do better is to understand what it is and how it is. Systematically. Historically. Right? Thank you for listening to Dr. Paul Blockcast weekly. And I enjoy coming to you and talking with you and discussing you and things that come up. Things that come up in my life. Questions that I've been asked. I was talking with some others about Black America and how Black America has been misled and misused about economic value and their own property. Because we cannot advance ourselves through the civil rights and civil movement if that's the only thing you're fighting for is to have a seat in a room, but you're sitting in a room and you're still spending more money outside of your community. If you don't have economic value, you will lose your sense of worth. If you've thought you've never had your sense of worth, then that's where you failed and fall. Right? Remember, Blacks only 12% of the population. This isn't socialism. These things have never been addressed. The slavery impact on the system has never been addressed. Symbolic success is not structured success. Oprah is symbolic success. Obama is symbolic success. So, Dr. Paul, you're saying, then what is being successful? Being successful is when your community has growth. Not gentrification. Not being pushed out. Not being where you're marginalized because of what you speak and what you say. Is economic growth. Not economic riches, economic growth. They say that when you say talking about bouncing money in your community, when they say Arab and Asians, their money bounced 12 to 13 times in their community before it leaves their community. So it changes hands within the community like 13 times. The Jewish community, God bless them, 18 times before it leaves their community. Hispanics, like 7 to 9 times before it leaves their community. They exchange the dollar 7 to 9 times. Blacks, 1 time before it leaves the community. Understand that. So economic growth is economic success. That is true structure success, not symbolic success. Okay? So just because you see 1 or 2 people on TV, don't fall for it. I'm Dr. Paul. If you have any questions, you can always contact me at drpaulholisticsciences.com, and I will come to you. Next is Bridges Live on Monday. And God bless, and you have a great weekend.